I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. Ynet reports that Israel's President Shimon Peres addressed the recent escalation in the south of Israel during a meeting with visiting European Union's Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton, saying we won't be able to restrain ourselves much longer. Peres was referring to the recent barrage of 80 rockets at last count fired from Gaza into Israel Tuesday and Wednesday, as you may have seen on IBA News. Peres said during the meeting with Ashton, who is in Israel as part of a 5-day Middle East visit, "While we're sitting here, mothers and their children are in shelters. The funds transferred to the Palestinians from Qatar were aimed to aid construction development, but were used for terror." Peres said, referring to the visit yesterday of the Emir of Qatar to the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip, and the Qatar Emir's pledging of $400 million in aid to Gaza. Ashton didn't directly address the rocket attacks, but instead reiterated the EU's commitment to continue its, quote, severe supervision over Iran. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said on Wednesday that he would be ready to sit down to peace talks with Israel if the UN recognizes Palestine as a non-member state. He said the bid for statehood does not replace the need for negotiations. Abbas said we need to resume negotiations in order to resolve the core issues. Therefore, we are ready to pursue direct talks upon returning from the UN. The U.S. has said they are against the bid for status change, saying such a unilateral action by the Palestinians only harms the peace process. The JTA reports that the Israeli families of 5 of the students killed in the 2008 terrorist attack on the Merkaz Harav Yeshiva in Jerusalem have filed a $1 billion lawsuit against the Bank of China for making money transfers to Hamas. The suit was filed Tuesday in New York State Court and accuses the bank of making several millions of dollars in wire transfers for the terrorist organization beginning in 2003. 8 high school and seminary students were killed in the 2008 terror attack. Attorney Nitzana Darshan-Leitner, director of Shurat Hadin Israel Law Center, who is representing the 5 families, said the bank knowingly assisted Hamas to carry out the Jerusalem attack, further saying, usually U.S. citizens have the right to file lawsuits against those who sponsor and execute terror. In this suit, we were able to make use of laws allowing non-Americans to also sue in U.S. courts in the case of terrorism. According to a new study, anti-Israel efforts on college campuses here in the U.S. have for the most part failed. The study released by the American Israeli Cooperative Enterprise, or AICE, found that most U.S. and Canadian college campuses report no anti-Israel events. The study is called Israel and the Campus, The Real Story. Its authors, AICE Executive Director Mitchell Bard and AICE Campus Liaison Jeff Dawson, found that student Jewish groups are for the most part fighting off anti-Israel efforts like the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, or BDS movement, with the professional guidance of Campus Hillels and other Jewish organizations, saying rather than weaken the relationship between U.S. colleges and Israel, the BDS movement has largely backfired and ties are stronger than ever and continue to grow. Bard and Dawson tracked 674 unique anti-Israel events at 108 American universities during the 2011-2012 academic year, fewer than 3% of all U.S. colleges. The report also noted that most of these incidents took place during a 2-month period when 49 American campuses held so-called Israel hate fests, and that for most of the year, campuses had very little anti-Israel activity. The authors, however, also note that a large number of Jewish students say they have experienced some form of anti-Semitism in college, and offer several recommendations to help Jewish students confidently talk about Israel, including educating about Israel, quote, warts and all, creating birthright-style Israel trips for high school students, and building more long-distance learning programs between Israeli and American Jewish students. Well, the Jewish Federations of North America announced that Nobel laureate, Holocaust survivor, and renowned author Elie Wiesel will be participating in the Federation's upcoming General Assembly next month. Wiesel will be part of a historic dialogue with chairman of the Jewish Agency, former Soviet refusnik and Soviet Jewry activist Natan Sharansky, to commemorate the 1987 March on Washington for Soviet Jewry. Sharansky and Wiesel had initiated the march of more than 250,000 people on December the 7th of 1987, which was influential in pressuring the Soviet Union to ease its restrictions on immigration. The discussion between Wiesel and Sharansky will focus on how the march impacted the landscape of the global Jewish community and is still doing so today. The GA runs November 11th through the 13th in Baltimore. And that's Shalom TV's News Update. I'm Teisha Bader.